What's up? It's Dominic D'Angelo of AdFreeShows.com, SEScoops.com, and Brass Ring Media. I'm here today, flying solo for the time being. I might have a special guest coming in, but yes, here to talk a little bit of AEW Fighter Fest. 4 hours. Holy crap! I didn't know it was this week actually that this 4 hours thing was going down, but it is, and it's tonight. Are you excited? I am. Also, got to talk Mariah May showing up in NXT. Holy smokies. But first, before we get to any of that, let's say hi to some folks in the chat here. We got Triple E saying Mariah May back in NXT. Elijah and AJ Francis show up because of TNA. Pretty good NXT. Heck yeah. NXT just got Glamorous. Who's going to be next from AEW Jumping Ship? 6ix9ine says, yes, that is always a question going on, right? Lingering. Wrestling Old Ed said, let's play the Mariah's NXT name game. I know, right? Yeah, to come up with some names here. Well, we got Wrestling Old Ed already said Mariah Can. Mariah Can. Mariah Maybe. Ooh. Robert D. Felice, friend of the show, says Mariah, no, Marilyn Moore, I think, or something like that, which is bad. Or maybe he put Mariah Moore. I don't remember. But yeah, clearly it doesn't look like they're going to be calling her Mariah May. You know, if they did, they would have said it, but they didn't say it. So, yeah, I don't think they're going to call her that. Now, my question is for you guys out there: does her showing up in NXT pack a punch, or would it pack more of a punch if she showed up on SmackDown or Raw? I mean, I think it's cool that AEW folks are showing up in WWE like in the way they're doing it, but it's just also in the same fashion. It's just like you would really hit a different note if they just showed straight up on WWE television. So it's just like it's in a way I get it, but also in a way too, I think you're gonna get more value if you put this person on your main roster. We've seen what she can do. I was an advocate for Ricky Starks already just being boom popping up on the main roster because it would feel like a big deal, and like it's still a cool deal that they're showing up in NXT, and it's like, oh man, look who's there. But I mean, I think you're just gonna get more value for what you're introducing these stars into as primary stars right off the bat. Like, Cody returning obviously was a humongous deal. Jade Cargill showing up. They promoted her ahead of time. There was a press release about her and everything. And somebody like a Ricky Starks, Ricky Saints, or a Mariah May, man. And like they did that with Penta too. Penta showing up. Obviously, he was on the main roster. Ray Phoenix. They knew the value in that. I think somebody like Mariah May showing up, and even if people don't know who she is, they'd be like, "Holy cow, who is this?" Boy, and you would immediately hit a note there. So I'm kind of curious what people think of that. If you guys have any opinions, if you think that you know, showing some of these people up on the main roster instead of NXT just feels like a good deal to do. And Mariah May, I think, would have been one of them. Whatever you call her. So, yeah, I like Marilyn. I like Marilyn too. I'm a big fan of Marilyn Monroe. Hey, born on June 1st, so one day before me, but way, way before me. She would have turned 99 today. That's crazy to think. So she was born in 1926. 1926. Norma Jean. Norma Jean. Fun fact, big D Martin fan here. She was originally going to be in a D Martin movie called Something's Gotta Give, but the substance abuse issues that she was going through put the kibosh on the film itself. But D Martin was a big advocate for her and was really supportive of who she was. So, fun little fact about Marilyn. So I think they should call her something in accordance to Marilyn Monroe. I think that would be cool. Good little tribute in that way. And obviously, she had some stuff that resembles Marilyn Monroe. Wrestling Old Head says Mariah May, still young and basically only worked with Tony Storm in AEW. I'm interested in her potential dance partners and who works good with her. Yeah. You know, so but yeah, I do feel like you could put her on the main roster and she would flourish. I mean, if you're willing to put somebody like Penta on there whose ring style is very unorthodox and not you know, attuned to the WWE style so to speak, and kind of like, for lack of a better phrase, like, uh, I don't want to say sloppy, but there's like moments where it is a little off brand, right? That he can that he fits in. I think she would fit into. Um, Lloyd does say though she would possibly get lost in the main roster right now, so NXT is a better option for her not to get lost in the shuffle. Yeah, there's a lot of talent on the main roster. I do agree with that, but I mean, you know, I think that if you have a star, there's a certain way you can make them uh, already feel like that. So I mean, I don't know. I don't think she would get lost in the shuffle. I just don't. I think you need some new dance partners with like a Tiffany Stratton, and you need some like kind of revitalization of some of what your women's roster is, particularly on SmackDown, where yeah, you have a lot of talent, but how much are you really using when it comes to some of that stuff? So I don't know. I think she would add value to your SmackDown brand or something like that too. Um, but fair point. Wrestling Old Head does make a fair point. I think that's why they called up Julia. I forgot about Julia and Vacour, so she doesn't get lost in NXT. So that's very interesting too. So fair points for sure. That was just my viewpoint on it. I think there's so many times where like yeah, and you do want to add value to your NXT brand in regards to yeah your women's roster too. So there's arguments to be made for both ends. Not saying it was necessarily wrong or something or a bad move in general, but I think I would have liked to see her show up on the main roster because it would just pack a lot more value. I'm still on that camp with Ricky Starks. I think they did a good job with him in his NXT run. But man, I mean, if you showed him up right in WWE right off the bat, boom, feels like a big deal. I'm curious too how much they want to undersell some of what AEW does in certain ways. Like, like yeah, you have Penta and you have Ray Phoenix and Jade Cargill get main roster debuts, but how much do you want to be like, hey AEW, yeah, we got your talent. We're starting them off on NXT just to get them acclimated and things like that. I don't know if that's necessarily like a dig, but I wonder how they balance that out necessarily and make those decisions. Um, Mariah May and Tiffany Stratton is a match made in absolute heaven, Dom. Absolutely, right? Like, and I think Mariah May would be the heavy baby face in that. I think she's a great baby face. I think that was what was undercut about her. She had such a fantastic psychopathic heel run that we credit her for that, but I think she has immense value as a baby face, especially against Tiffany Stratton. And then because I just think Tiffany hits just the perfect note as this heel. I don't like I don't see her as a baby face at all, really. I just can't. I can't put her in that category. It's tough. She's good at what she does when it comes to the heel. She just embraces and elevates elements of her personality that is like, yes, this is somebody that, you know, believes in herself, has a high vote of confidence about herself, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think she just fits that role really well. So but it was cool. It was cool to see Mariah May show up so soon and create some buzz for NXT. And that, I'm making the argument of both ways, but I mean, I think there's definitely value in each perspective that you have. I think, but yeah, I saw somebody make that comment too initially about why wasn't she on the main roster? She feels it does feel like they could make bigger deals about it, and I kind of do agree with that for sure. So there's a trade off. There's a trade off when it comes to all this stuff. Um, but I think NXT doing some of this stuff is pretty darn good. And it's a brand I want to tune into more. I just haven't gotten around to doing it, I do keep tabs on it, obviously, but I haven't fully embedded and embraced myself in it, even though my cousin Tony is a regular on there. So got to check in and see how he's doing. But you know what? We got to take a look at AEW Dynamite and I guess Collision tonight, right? AKA also known as Fyter Fest. Who is ready for Fyter Fest? Are people excited? Can I scroll down quick enough to play the song? Can I do it? Let's see if I can do it here. Definitely not quick enough. Definitely not quick enough because I got so many media assets here. Here we go. I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. Let's go again. Hey, one more time. All right. Yeah. Are we excited? 4 hours? We excited? It's a long time. 2 hours is a long time to watch wrestling sometimes. So how are AEW going to keep us engaged? Tuned in, right? Boom. They don't have the NBA playoffs to worry about anymore because it's off TNT forever, at least for the way foreseeable future. So I wonder if this is going to be like a little test run to see how AEW does with 4 hours of content on one night. Maybe they're seeing, I don't know if they can get some sort of gauge of an element of, hey, what if we move Collision here to Thursday so we have Dynamite Wednesday, Collision Thursday. I wonder if this is some sort of, they're seeing what the temperature is out here. I don't know. But I do know that that's an uphill battle when it comes to making 4 hours of pro wrestling engaging. So we'll see what it is. I just don't know how I feel about it. I just don't know. But we will preview it here. Fyter Fest. And my goodness, 4 hours. 4 whole hours. Let's take a look at what is on tap. We have. So this is the whole card right now. Kenny Omega defending his international championship against Brody King, Claudio Castagnoli, and Mascara Dorada. AEW International Championship match. This just feels like a throwaway thing. I cannot imagine Kenny Omega losing this title before he faces off against Okada, because it just seems like that means that title's staying around in the current version that it's at, and it's going to go somewhere else, and it's going to feel even more pointless. So, I think that the end game should be, don't know if it totally is, obviously, but should be Kenny defending his international championship against Okada, who's got that Continental Championship, where flip a coin and which one is it really at this juncture. You got to merge those together. And ultimately, what I'd want to see happen in the grand scheme of it all is you merge those titles together, and then, hey, let's merge this with the TNT Championship too, because too many titles makes it feel a whole lot less. I just don't subscribe to that. And I think what was cool about AEW starting off is they really only had 3 championships, or 4, correction. So you have the World Championship, you have the TNT titles, you have the tag titles, and then you had the women's titles. Then you had a pseudo title in the FTW Championship. So plenty enough. And I think if AEW embraces that identity a little bit more again, less titles, they mean more. And right now, if you look at WWE now from an understandable standpoint, they have titles for each brand. And it's a lot of titles, but the women's tag team title transfers over and all that stuff. But I mean, each title has its own. I mean, each brand has its own respective title, from the World Championship to your secondary title, to the women's secondary title, to the women's title, to the tag team championships. So, boom, a lot of titles. If you're AEW, let's see what they're not doing. Do the Eric Bischoff style thing. I know Tony is not a fan of Eric's opinions now, but I would embrace see what the other company is doing, and you do something different. And doing something different would be having less championships. So I am 100% for the merging these 2 pointless titles, unfortunately, with the International Championship and the Continental Championship. And once those are merged, you then merge the TNT Championship with such. And then you have one big kahuna title. Call it the TNT Championship still. And there you go. Party's over. We're back on track. Because it feels like that was part of getting off track with AEW. And the value and importance that championships meant. Stanley Cup is on tonight on TNT. Oh, so they do have something to worry about. Wow. The Panthers. Robert's team, the Panthers. Oh boy. He does not like the Panthers. Let's see. What is rhythm? Licensed rhythm is going to get you. Really, I'll have to Google that song. I'm sure I've heard of it before, but I don't know it offhand. I have to hear the song, and I'm sure I would know it. Willie Thornbrew says, I don't know if I can talk my buddies into going to 4 hours of wrestling with me next week. Holy crap. Yeah, it's a lot, right? It's a lot. Yeah, because, I mean, Pittsburgh going to have basically 4 hours of television lined up for them on Monday, June 30th, because we're getting Raw live, and then they're taping SmackDown for the 4th right then and there, too. So bam, lots of wrestling going on a Monday night. So here, let's continue previewing AEW Dynamite, right? Let's see here. Jon Moxley taking on Mark Briscoe. Oh, I like this match. This is cool. Yeah, you know, like Robert said last week that Mark Briscoe's Teflon. I agree, but I also don't want to see him lose. And like clean. I think he needs to have Moxie on the ropes here and some outside elements coming into play. I hope he does not lose clean to Jon Moxley. I think you have a unique star. Like, again, you see what WWE is doing and you pivot. And showcasing somebody like Mark Briscoe is somebody that's completely different than what WWE is doing at the moment. So I think there is value in Mark Briscoe in making him a winner and one of your top names. But still should be a fun match. That is a match that I would seek out to tune into. So Mark Briscoe versus Jon Moxley. Gets my stamp of approval. We also have Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa tagging up against Sky Blue and Julia Hart. Okay, seems just baseline stuff. Getting Toni Storm active on the card is always good, but this just seems like a match we've seen before, or some variant of it. Sky Blue and Julia Hart. I remember them teaming up. I'm sure Toni and Mina, tagged up before too. Just doesn't. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's part of the card, and I'll watch it, kind of thing. All right. Well, Thekla makes her in-ring debut. Cool. It seems like a good deal to have. You know, Mariah May leaving AEW can certainly feel like a gut shot. And that's the other thing, too. Let me go back to this real quick. That's the other thing, too. You put Mariah May on your main roster right away, that feels like a big gut shot again to AEW. Like, you have that competitive thing going on where WWE is booking itself the same weekends that AEW is having their name shows, like All In and you name it, kind of thing. And the Philadelphia residents, they're doing the Philly resident, reportedly doing a Philly residence before AEW, or a Philly spot before AEW does a residence there. So you want to make it seem like create the visual that you have AEW on the ropes. You put Mariah May on your main roster, and it does make it feel like, boom, wow, that's a Mike Tyson right there. So there's another argument that to be made, and I know that's just short-term thinking. But if WWE has that mentality of like, hey, let's take AEW out, let's really show them, here we got Mariah May, and here she is. We're already making her star right off the bat. All that being said, Thekla, I hope I'm saying that right, supplements a little bit of Mariah May, losing Mariah May. Now, how is her persona, her identity? I have no clue. I've never heard her talk before. I've never heard, from the little that I saw of her, making her AEW debut. She seems to have charisma, almost a Vakor like style to her in how she handles her and body presence and stuff like that. So potentially there's some good stuff there. Oh, thank you, Wrestling Hold It. I think it's pronounced Tekla. Tekla. Good. Boy, I was struggling with Takeshita for forever. So my apologies to Tekla if I am saying it wrong. Um, Wrestling Hold It also adds with this. Ooh, look at that. I'll have to tweet that out. Wrestling Hold It said, how smart was Mariah May for signing a 2-year deal without an option? She came in, had arguably the feud of the year for AEW, won the world title, and left. You wonder if that was the long game for her. You know, Um, maybe I'm sure she was courted heavily by Tony Khan, and so maybe she was like, "Yeah, I'll give this a chance." But it is smart. Like I'm sure this is probably maybe more of the lines. She might have been really kept courted by Tony Khan. She wanted to give it a shot, see what the landscape of AEW was, what she thinks the future holds for her there, and then once she got a taste of maybe the environment and it didn't necessarily stick with her, that she was like, all right, yep, I'm out of here. And so then Tony was like, okay, well, we can't put you on too much because you're leaving. So, so yeah, it's a very savvy move on Mariah May's part, ultimately. Uh, you know, so, and I'm sure, even her showing up in an NXT, ultimately in the grand scheme of it all, once she pops up on uh, the main roster, like a Vakor, who's already making creating waves, she'll create waves there too. So, um, yeah, everybody's inspiring me here. So, Ashley Reinhardt, thank you for the Sports Kita hashtag. Try to keep that cooking if you want on social media. Help us out here and get the word out about how dirty Sports Kita is. Speaking of dirty, Triple E says a cleaning up the dirt sheets episode about Sports Kita would be cool. You know what? You're inspiring me, Triple E. I think I will do that today. I'll record something today. Ooh, hey, Scott Chaplin of Working Stiff chimes in on X. LOL, AEW is better, fathead. Wake up. Watching a show that no one is one thing, but rooting for it is blasphemy. LOL, AEW better. Wake up. Watching a show that is for no one is one thing, but rooting for it is blasphemy. Yeah, I mean, look, I am rooting for AEW. I always root for AEW. I do. And way back, I've said this before. Like when AEW started, I was so amped. Marcus, my degenerate brother, and I, we had a show, Two Dynamite Dudes with Attitude was the original call, and so and we reviewed Dynamite all the time. We talked about all the great possibilities of who Tony Khan could bring in, and man, could you imagine Samoa Joe here? Could you imagine Claudio here? Could you imagine? Oh my gosh, you name it. There was so many different names and possibilities that got created there, and the intrigue and what they were doing with certain talents, and the possibilities of where like Team Taz could go, and yeah, somebody like a Ricky Stark showing up and being there, Jade Cargill, tagging up with Shaq, and just really, really neat integrated stuff, and like just the excitement there. Thunder Rosa showing up, boom, felt really, really cool, and just something edgy, right on the cusp of the wrestling forefront. There's a lot I was so excited about, and then just so much happened that it's just like, man, Cody leaving, brawl out, the the exit of Cody, the exit of CM Punk, but the optimism with Bryan Danielson coming in and Adam Cole showing up, that one particular All Out felt amazing and historic and really, really big because that was CM Punk's first match, and then it's just like, man, all of it just gets the attention to detail just ran loose, and it's so upsetting, so upsetting. Uh, okay, dog. Who in WWE is doing well? Even Punk is Z's there. Scott, I think Penta is doing well. I think I don't so okay, this is my thought with Punk, Scott. This is my thought with Punk is that yeah, he is definitely toned down from what being in his outspoken self that we've seen in previous iterations in WWE and in AEW, especially too. But I almost feel like he's in. I'm trying to make this analogy of who he kind of reminds me of. And we go, oh, hey, we can get somebody chiming in with this, and that is Kevin Kellum.
How you doing, Dom? How are
you? Good. It looks like you are. Oh, so I can't switch you over, unfortunately. Swapping. So you are Robert Karpoulos. I'm Kevin Kellum today.
I have no legal advice to share.
Oh, don't you? Yes, and I have no fancy Instagram reels to make either.
I'm not doubling up on the voice, am I?
No, you're good.
I'm getting on my ears. So.
Do you sound okay? Do I sound okay to you?
Yeah, you sound great. You sound great. Sorry about the tech issues here. I got held up by. I'm on the radio right now.
Oh wow, you're double.
So I had to tape ahead, and then that backed up. So yeah, there we go.
Well, okay. So what do you think? So Scott Chaplin, fellow comedian of yours, just chimed in and said Punk, who in WWE from AEW is doing well right now in WWE. He said Punk is Z's right now. I was gonna make the argument Z's like snooze.
Well, I'm sorry, Scott. Maybe we can talk about this when I get him working stiff. But like we know his loyalties lie. And I have friends who have the same thing now. And WWE took some type of sentimental dip with the internet wrestling community. I'm in a text thread with them. They're like, oh, this. And they're all trying to conflate everything with Vince is still WWE, and it isn't. And politics and all those other things. And then then they suck. I was like, these places are still sold out. Like we're still looking at a sold out arena on Saturday for Money in the Bank, right?
Oh, Kev,
objectively pull away.
Hold on, Kev, you do have an echo. If you can try.
All right. Let me come back here, bud.
Come back in, yeah.
All right, I'll be right back.
I wonder if that might be me. Hold on, that might be me, guys. I might have fixed it. We'll wait till he gets back, though. We'll wait till he gets back. Man, this show went off the rails. Robert would be freaking out right now. Not freaking out, but be like Dom, best producer in the biz. LOL, sold out arena, guys. I guess I am not saying that. Listen. Okay. Welcome back. I think you're fixed. I think you're good.
Am I good?
It might have been my fault because I had cancellation off. I don't know.
You can hear me all right. You're good?
I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Perfect. So what was I saying there? Objectively, I get what he's saying, but is he Z's if he's like in all of these opened Raw? You get to open Raw. It's not a bad spot. He's being utilized as much as he can. Is he going to be wrestling a physically different style now? Yes. What's Z's about him? Like what is Z's?
I think more so that Punk is felt edgier in previous iterations, not just WWE, but in AEW too. And so like the edge is a little bit off. He's kind of more acclimated to what the WWE landscape is and the expectations of him is. But I do feel like though he doesn't necessarily have to be that person anymore. Like to an extent he can be, and I think he still relates to the fan base.
That's not functional.
Yeah,
that's high. What you're talking about is emotional high spots.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's somebody who comes out, like when you were like 15 or 14, and you and your friends started to casually swear.
Yeah.
And you had that one friend that just started to use the F-bomb a little bit too much. It's like, hey, bud, I know you just learned that word, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have the same hit, right? Mm-hmm. So are you telling me he's going to come out there and cut a pipe bomb every week?
Yeah, no, I think what you're getting is WWE CM Punk, which I think is fine. I think he's more,
I get what he's saying, but it's also just like a reach. It's a reach. And then to say that people from AEW aren't successful in WWE, Cody's one of the top names in the business. I mean, I'm not saying this to bother anybody who wants to root for the AEW side or be petty or fall into all that rage baiting things here. But the fact of the matter is, if you want to go down that road, you just got your pants pulled down. Mariah May's in NXT. All right. She just showed up in NXT. I assume you may have already touched on this.
Oh, yeah.
And this is another person whose deal came up, and Aleister Black, Rusev. How many this year? At least, 5 or 6? this year.
Yeah.
And then you had Jade last year. All right. And so also I think it hits different when the women do it too. It hits way different when the women do it because maybe the choices of those women in those roles is the wealth of talent you can pull from to put in that position. If you're a Tony Khan or a WWE, may not be the same. Not to say there's not as many. It's just it's a much more selective field. Like the roles are much more profound.
Absolutely.
You can find archetypes amongst the men that you need. All right, we need this type of female performer. All right, well, those are not nearly as plentiful, So to pull from the independent ranks or the world ranks and different things like that. And then on top of it, I mean, you also have people outside of W, like Penta and Ray, and like it's just like I think if you're on the AEW side, it's got to suck a little bit. Like it's like these were our guys, but part of the problem is. And I don't think anyone wants to hear this. It's natural. This is the war you started. This is the money you put in. This is you shaking the apple cart. Did you think there was going to be no consistent response? You put your show on Saturday. They don't call us competition, but then they compete.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They're gonna put Evolution on the same day as our stadium show. Yeah. You're putting millions of dollars into this free market, which is better for wrestlers, by the way. Are you pro wrestler or are you pro a company ran by a billionaire who has money?
And Kev, we got to get you and Scott on working stiff together because you will have a debate and a half right now. It's saying 2 dudes rooting for TKO while this company has actively stunk for almost a year.
Scotty, come in here, Scott. Get Scott in here. Come on, Scott. Scott, I'm not Scott. I completely get your take. Boo me. I'll be a heel, baby. You ain't no baby face if you ain't got a heel to work with. You got to dance, buddy.
Look, I think WWE is better than what it was for sure. I think too, at the same time.
No, you're right. WWE is very I can hear the sarcasm in what you said. It's right. Also, Scott, I appreciate your take on things too. I'm not saying it's all bad. Look, I love Double or Nothing. I thought it was a great show.
I did too.
I think All Elite Wrestling is in a way better place than they were storytelling wise. So, the things are a little bit more consistent. I'm not saying stuff is bad. Hangman versus Mox seems cool. Tony Storm versus Mercedes feels like a very big deal on paper. Hopefully they can execute on that a little bit more. And that's the major story I'm looking forward to in the lead up to All In. So I mean, like, it's still, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but here's another thing, guys. Number 2 is not a bad spot. It's not a bad spot. Okay. You know what I mean? It isn't. It is not a bad spot to be in. It just isn't a bad spot. It's not like a shot or anything. It's just, it is what it is. It's all right.
Scott, I will make the argument that W is better than what it was in comparison to the Vince McMahon era. And, from a structural standpoint of attention to detail when it comes to certain talent on a segment by segment basis, they're dotting their I's and crossing their T's for the most part. Now, granted, they do have a lot of stuff that they miss out on, I do think, at certain elements. And some talents you do want to see get utilized a bit more. But ultimately, that's
every show, though, right? That's every. I don't know what TV show I watch where there isn't like a little side character. It's like, The Office, where I'm like, I'd love to see more of Kevin. Pumping and dropping a bowl of chili or something. That's every show.
Scott makes a fair argument too. He says it's literally the same. Where, when, how's Gunther been doing this year? Well, Gunther's a fair argument, I think, because I heavily do not appreciate how they've been handling Gunther. I do say
I love Gunther's match at WrestleMania. People popped. They wanted a babyface to win, and then a babyface won.
Yeah, but it's just like, I think though, what are they doing with him? It just feels so weird from week in and week out. You have somebody that's like, are they teasing him as a babyface? He almost loses to Pat McAfee. So, okay, we'll make us buy
the match with McAfee. I found entertaining until it got too competitive.
I was intrigued by it because I wanted Gunther to whoop him and like make a statement almost.
And he did to a degree, but like it was just a little bit too competitive. And I'll give it to McAfee. I mean, he sold his ass off and got his ass kicked physically, and played the role. And you had to have Michael Cole in there, and they just spun the plates a little bit too much. Not the worst thing. I'm not saying that this is WWE better than they were last year. Another thing about this, I think that people are kind of understanding and taking in is it was so refreshingly fun overall. The overall tone of what WWE is hitting, WrestleMania 2024 in Philly was universally liked, even though there were some matches on it I thought like that didn't hit. But the ending was amazing. It was this Return of the Jedi style ending, you know?
I thought there was some stuff missed though without
But overall, that was a very well received show. The Rotten Tomatoes would be a high ranking on that one. Whereas this year, you have a downer ending on both nights of WrestleMania. You have a Darth Vader Empire Strikes Back, I'm going to cut off your hand ending on both nights. So there's that. The Cena heel run, it was a risky idea. I don't know if that risk is paid off yet.
Not yet, it hasn't for sure. And I don't know if they make it.
No, but also here's another thing with the internet age. When you do heel stuff, you still want people on the internet to not be on board. And I think that's another thing is we've now gone to the layer of lasagna where people that are critical of something on the internet are worked to a degree because something else they would like to see happen, So I think that gets blurrier. I've seen a lot more of that too. I get what Scott's saying is completely, but I don't think anyone's like sleepy out of it. Especially when you look at the metrics, everyone's they're not in the top 10 on that. They're still the most watched show in all of professional wrestling by a significant margin. More people are watching Monday Night Raw on Netflix now than they have when it was on cable television.
Sure. I think too, at the same time, like, I think a big concern what WWE should really kind of be, keeping their finger out in the wind a little bit with is the aspect of, okay, yeah, are we overpricing ourselves? Are we putting ourselves way above our skis when it comes to like, sure, they're making a lot of money. And like they're having success with that. But I think you're going to erode the goodwill that you've kind of created with fans in certain ways.
What exactly are you talking about there?
I'm talking about the high ticket sale prices.
I have a lot more people bringing this up to me, especially coming out of WrestleMania. A lot of people bringing this up to me. Yeah.
The expenses that people will go, the less live events that they're doing and more focusing on PLEs.
It means you have to have a higher return of investment on what you're doing if you're doing less events.
Yeah, and sure, I think you're going to have. They likely are doing that, but they're so concerned with the bottom line and keeping answers to the shareholder aspect of it all and having all that stuff that you are going to erode a certain amount of your fan base that can't maybe necessarily attend live events anymore because you're priced out of it. And or like, I think too, if you get rid of some of your stalwart fan favorites, I mean, R-Truth is one big name that
it's all of those kind of like moves that even like I don't want to say a casual fan can see and feel, right? But like definitely I just did a script about this about Triple H had the quote when he did the Peter Rosenberg interview, and he clarified this, and it made a lot more sense when he clarified it. Just be a fan, man. Don't be a critic. But I mean, in the internet age, fans become critics very quickly, and they can critically praise you and they can critically detract you. And everyone has this megaphone of this. Everyone who's watching this is watching on a device where they can say something about wrestling at the same time, So the echo chamber can swerve pretty quickly. Scott Chaplin probably knows as well, and that's how AEW became a thing. That's how it became a thing, So in that same regard, I get it. And this isn't a defense of WWE. This is just where entertainment is with inflation. Is look at the NFL. How many people who are diehard NFL fans are season ticket holders?
Right.
Yeah. And so how many people that are diehard NBA fans? How many people that are like hardcore Laker fans can get within 20 yards of the court?
Right. It's a select few.
So that is the time that's the world a lot of TKO people came from in terms of sports and entertainment. Is that them saying that they don't want it to be legitimate or they don't take it seriously? No, they clearly take it seriously. They spent how many billions of dollars on it?
Right.
And now they want these sports properties that are the bridge between combat sports and entertainment and all these different things. And they want to bring in, you see a lot more celebrities and different stuff like that. And even a casual fan is like, oh, I think it's kind of cool that they really, really emphasize that celebrities are here and wrestling is cool. WWE is cool again. All right. But then you have this issue of, well, how do you get a family of 4 to go to Monday Night Raw?
Right.
But is that family of 4 going to be okay with buying seats in the 200 section when that
Right.
family maybe a year or two ago could spend a couple $100 and be at the 100 level? And it's also inflation. This is across the whole spectrum. I've had a lot of conversation. I'm working comedy, a lot of conversations with people about inflation and how that's affecting the bottom line of people making their choices,
Right.
of what they want to do and how they want to be entertained and all these different things. With the live event, I completely get it. But when the demand is there and people buy, are they wrong for doing it?
No, but I think at some point the bubble's going to burst.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
This is going to erode.
But then you see, like, oh, it's a financial thing. So why, if you're making so much money, then why did you let someone like R-Truth go? And why did you do this? And why did you do that? I think it was kind of a timing thing too. You let R-Truth go, and these prices are here. You know, for
Sure, yeah.
people look at a ticket that felt like it was $175. And another thing is, this is a market issue. I'll put more of this, and I got to be very, very careful on what I say because of other things I do in my life.
We talked about it before you got on the air, actually.
But the ticket value of things is, a lot of it is not completely dictated by WWE. And it's how you buy the ticket and where you get it and Ticketmaster and different things like that. And that world where WWE has to exist in that world, which is very transactional, and they are not the only person that dictates that transaction. And those other mitigating factors also dictate those things. And WWE obviously benefits from them, but they don't also get to say all that, you know. And so you have dynamic pricing on tickets is a very challenging thing to the marketplace. Extremely challenging.
It is very challenging.
You look at the Taylor Swift stuff and how the kerfuffle that caused with the high demand. So drive up the ticket price because we want to drive up to the demand, and the price will go up based on. So what's the face value of a ticket? We don't know. For a high end event, you don't know what the price of a ticket is. There is no, like, all right, they're this now. You see this now too with big stadium shows. It's this now, and then it changes to this because everything could be a secondary market ticket, and you don't know that.
Scott says there isn't a demand. WWE had its low Mania ticket sales in years.
I was at the show. It was busy. It was well attended.
It was pretty definitely like, but I really do think this is ultimately it can be troublesome if WWE doesn't react in a proper manner at the proper time. Like, I mean, like, hey, ride this hog as long as you want to. Blue Chew, not pun, sponsorship not intended. But I do think
stay hard.
Yeah, promo code rumor. But
I'm sorry if I'm hitting on things that you did before I jumped on.
No, we weren't really talking too much about this. I was giving preview to the 4-hour Fyter Fest tonight, but
4 hours, man. Gotta love getting moved around by the playoffs, right?
My goodness, somebody put it in my brain that the Stanley Cups were airing on TNT tonight. I forgot about that.
Probably. I think yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Go Oilers. I want it to go to Canada. Get Canada a cup.
We'll give it to Canada, yeah. But yeah, I think overall W just gotta feel the temperature of what's going on and react properly when the time is right, because that's one point or another that bubble's going to burst. If they are too high on their horse and do not see past their skis, then it could be an issue, more so, even so. And then I think you're eroding and washing out a fan base that you might not get back for a while. So.
Yeah, but it's also up and down. And it's reacting to a lot of different things. None of this is really defensive WWE. It's me saying factual things. Like, it's just this is the playing field they're on, which doesn't stay still. You know, it moves with the wind.
Somebody made the point here too. Maybe it was Wrestling Old Head. Yeah, it was Wrestling Old Head. Is AEW war ready? Because they absolutely have an opportunity to gain more momentum after WWE's latest moves.
No,
but you don't think so. You don't think?
Not right now. They need to just keep doing what they're doing.
I think so, But the point I was making too,
No, they need to get back the audience they lost. They need
and
to get
I
back the
think that's
people
a
they lost.
very high uphill battle that I don't know if they can do. But I
No.
do think to the extent that they should see what WWE is doing and
Mhm.
do the opposite or do different. Not opposite, but
Yeah, pivot moves.
pivot.
I'm bringing up something that's miles away from me. The residencies, I think, are a very smart idea. Okay,
Mhm.
on paper, lower end production costs, galvanizing your locker room is the word I've heard from some people. The building they're going to run, Aragon, where they're going to do this residency, and I think it's the biggest one they've had so far.
Yeah.
Next to Dallas, they did some Collision there, and they did some Ring of Honor there. But this one in Aragon is a very unique venue. It's about 5,000, but I don't know what they're going to do in terms of, because it's all floor. It's not an arena. It's a ballroom.
Mhm.
So
Right.
there's that, and like, what's the price on that? It's a very different building. You can do some different things,
Mhm.
but it's a Chicago market where they've rented a lot. All right, so we aren't going to get it all out. I think everyone kind of expected that. So I mean, these are different things. How do you run one building, not have your production team, all these different people? How does that change your show? What are the prices? What's the the transactional back end of this? I think it's an interesting move, but storyline wise, keep going with what you got. I like double and nothing. They lost some of their market value. They lost some of their edge of the audience of wrestling fans, and they need to get them back, or at
Yeah.
least get them tuning back in. I
Mhm.
don't. When you say war ready, are they doing what they did in 2021? I don't think they're there, and that isn't a shot. It's just like, no, keep. I want more of this. Give me more of what I got right now. Don't have people come out there and Will Ospreay taking some shot at Triple H. It just seems petty and unnecessary and highly distracting, and makes me not think of anything else he did on a 2-hour TV show. I don't need that. I want Will Ospreay telling me about the guy he's going to have a big match with on the pay per view.
Yeah, I think there's certain balance. I kind of like it when each company takes digs at one another. I don't
If
think
it's veiled and it's vague and it's
yeah,
just
I
like,
think
but no, I don't need that.
I
Also, it's not entertaining. It's just, to me, this is just me. To me, it's
I
just
think it'd
like,
be more entertaining if they're really right in the thick of the action of the race of it all.
sure,
But
but they're not.
they're behind the
They're
game,
not edge to edge here.
pun.
This isn't like, you know what I mean? But no, there's still a lot of wrestling fans that don't know what AEW is. There's
Mhm.
still a lot. It's not like me like kicking. Like, I like AEW. I enjoy going to the shows. I enjoy covering their events and doing it professionally. I know I have friends who wrestle there. Like, I have people I know that work in production there. I've been at the shows. I have a good time with it. Do what you're doing. If you can be the alternative to them, that's a really great position. Dig in on that. This war ready thing in this day and age with this many media choices. No, that you stop trying to bring things back to the 90s that we're going head to head and there's only 70 channels and we don't have infinite on demand, non-linear media choices.
Right. If I were AEW, I would really embrace their roots, the early on kind of identity that they had in certain ways. And not just from a television presentation standpoint and how maybe they necessarily handled themselves, but how they handled their fan base, how they handled media in certain ways. I think being more attainable in certain things, like when they were on the early grassroots stuff and they were part of Starcast. I know Starcast is part of All In coming up here, but it was
Chat
very,
me up, baby.
yeah, very more intimate and fan friendly and much more engaging. Something that WWE obviously from a certain point is washing themselves out of because of the high prices that go with getting appearances and doing.
Depends, because the meet and greet stuff, they have that's all there. It depends on what market or what event they're doing.
Sure, but I think that's
Yeah.
something that AEW can really do, a grassroots kind of thing. And I almost would feel too, you might have a benefit of playing live events. I know they used to do that a little bit more, but
House shows.
Yeah, do a house show once a week. Have a crew that's not on Dynamite or that is part of Dynamite go and wrestle, even if it's a small venue. But you're just not only are you doing creating a grassroots campaign, where you're going, but on top of it too, you're getting your talent experience and reps wrestling in front of live crowds, working live crowds, having that kind of engagement that WWE is veering away from at the time currently. I don't know. Just
yeah. Yeah, where is there a gap in the market?
Absolutely, absolutely, right. And you want to connect with fans in a different element than what WWE is pivoting away from. That's way to something to lean into. So,
what am I missing here? What did I not catch on the run sheet here that we haven't touched on in our rambling take here? Me doubling the size of the show again by showing
not a whole lot. I was gonna preview Fyter Fest, but you know what? Do you want to come back tomorrow? We can get you on tomorrow.
Sure.
We'll get you on tomorrow. We'll talk about Fyter Fest and cover some things. But plug anything that you want, Kev.
Yeah. I'm doing my first comedy album coming up August 9th. This is going to be a part of the Windy City Comedy Festival. August 9th, 9 p.m., Lincoln Hall, a 100-plus-year-old venue where Dave Matthews performed somehow will be tainted by my presence.
Yes.
I will be there August 9th recording my first stand-up comedy album special, Heaven and Hell. That'll be August 9th. You can get tickets on my Instagram at KevKellum6. If you search Kev Kellum Instagram, it'll pop up. I'll be right there. And you can buy tickets right there. If you're in Chicago, August 9th, it's the weekend after Lollapalooza. It's a big deal. I'm hoping to pack this place out. June 28th, Crush and Destroy from AAW. That's going to be going down at the Berwyn Eagles Club. I'll be on color commentary for that big show. Has a bunch of big names on it. Bunch of big names. Stallion Rogers. All right, going to be on that show. A lot of big names going to be on that show. Get tickets at AAW Pro.
Yeah, there you go, guys. And we'll join back together tomorrow. And thank everybody for tuning in. If you haven't yet, check out Brass Ring Media. Go to that channel and support what we're doing over there as well. But yes, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Kev, we'll see you tomorrow. And hey, for the time being, best of luck in your future endeavors.
Oh, but do we get to talk about Billy and the CW?
Maybe tomorrow.